Oh my goodness. It seems like this case is one of those landmark cases where it's just so polarizing, just like how the O.J. Simpson case was. And also the other case where the Asian store owner had unalived the 14-year-old boy. It feels like every generation there is a new big lesson that is having to be up for learning because black people in this country start to relax, then something occurs in which now everybody's got to be on their P's and Q's and is reminded as to how the system is against people of color, against black people. And you also have to be reminded also who your friends are. You have to be reminded as to what kind of country you live in and its laws and what happens to you when you are on the wrong side of things. It's very interesting with the Karmelo stuff. Everybody's talking about what happened and all the semantics of what could have been and all that other stuff. But what people are not talking about is this guy had friends. Karmelo had some friends that he had, some association. He had a girlfriend who happens to be the cousin of his other childhood best friend who testified against him. And it was very interesting to see that everybody was seemingly scared or threatened or whatever was going on, but they were all on code to speak against Anthony. His childhood friend was frankly saying that he didn't even know him, like Judas. I denied thee thrice. Insane. Until I think it was his defense attorney had to show the best friend, you guys hang out all the time. And I was doing a little research. Carmelo's girlfriend also is his cousin. So he's surrounded by people who he thinks are friends are not really friends. And it's so much, just goes to show that most black people don't really teach their children the world and what it is and what it stands for. Most of us feel like we can live anywhere. That's another thing. The Anthony family lived in Frisco County, who is known, or that place is known to just be really, really unfriendly when it comes to African Americans, people of color. That part of Texas do not care. As a matter of fact, they moved the case over on that side because they wanted the Metcalf family to have all the advantage and the judge and everything to go in their favor rather than the other counties. So it seemed like everything was just stacked against Karmelo. But here's the thing. A lot of the times it showed who his friends were, who the people was he was associated with. And he better not be speaking to any of them now that everything has been decided and they're wanting to do an appeal. Because it's also very interesting to know that they were all on code. Nobody ever swayed from the plan and nobody ever stuck up for him. And whether or not the Metcalfs might have coached the kids, which they're also saying on the street that that's what he was doing, or they simply had their parents tell them, hey, you know what, you're going to testify this way and that. The fact is, when it came to the trial, the people that he thought were friends were speaking against him. And that's what was really jarring. And also the fact that this is a big lesson for this generation to be reminded of, that things are not all as you see. So I just added some perspectives of several people on TikTok and what they thought of the whole case and everything like that. And just some perspectives as to what they thought, who his friends were. Some people are also talking about the fact that you got to be careful where you stay. You also got to look into not just the demographics of where you want to move to if you're moving, if you're black. You also got to check to see, hey, who's your mayor? Who's your commissioner? Who's your district attorney in that area? What are their politics? What kind of people they are to know what you're dealing with. You never know. And I feel like every generation is given a wake-up call. The generation was given a wake-up call for the O.J. Simpson case. And then there was another case with the Latasha Harlan case, Rodney King, all these. Now, Carmelo Anthony. This is very interesting, guys.
Austin Metcalf never told Karmelo to move from under the tent. Austin Metcalf and Karmelo never had any words. It was Hunter Metcalf and the two witnesses that made statements that told Karmelo Anthony to move from under the tent. It was Hunter Metcalf and the two witnesses who made the statements to the police who got into the altercation with Karmelo Anthony. It was Hunter Metcalf and the two witnesses who made statements to the police who tried to jump Carmelo Anthony. And Austin stepped in. Pay attention to what Hunter said and really read the witness statements. Nothing that they're saying Carmelo Anthony said to Austin Metcalf. He said it to Hunter and the two witnesses. And they're putting it all on Austin because he's gone. And a father who lost one son is trying to protect another one. So they're putting it all on Austin and trying to frame it to be like Austin was this good kid who walked up and asked Carmelo to move when that's not what happened. What happened is Hunter was trying to play tough guy. And he heard Carmelo and his friend that went to Memorial High School sitting under the tent, going back and forth, just, trash talking with each other. And him and his two friends stepped up and tried to tell Carmelo Anthony he had to leave from under the tent. When it was other students from other schools that was under that same tent, other coaches from other schools that was under that same tent. And Carmelo Anthony, Hunter Metcalf, and those two witnesses who made statements got into an altercation. It became physical. Austin stepped in and Austin was struck. This is not how you and the police and his family is trying to frame it. Everything you saying, that is not what happened.
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, "You need to move."
We told him he had to move. He never specifies who the we is. He says we told him he had to move. He got aggressive, started talking reckless, and my brother stepped in. It was never about Austin. It was about Hunter.
So let's talk about the Carmelo Anthony case, right? The witness that got on the stand, Eddie Parra, is the prime definition why the saying, everyone is not your friend, will forever be a saying. Because this case has shown us nothing, is that everybody is not your friend. Just because somebody hang around you, kick it with you, eat with you, man, people still look at you in their mind as they don't fuck with you like that. And it's so sad to see the pictures, the text messages. And this young man still got on this stand and said, "Oh, it's just somebody I knew. That ain't really my friend." Do y'all know how many people y'all call y'all friends that say these very same lines behind your back to other people? It's a crazy world out here, man. Like, to me, that was wild. That was wild. That was wild to hear that young man say that and then see those photos be pulled up in text messages. That was pretty wild. But hey, as long as we track it.
If there's one lesson I hope young people take away from the Carmelo Anthony case, it's this: watch who you call your friends. You know that saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future? Yeah, that one. I'm sure your mammy, your pappy, your daddy, your mama, you've heard it multiple times. And it's a quote that's been around a long time for very good reason. Now, according to testimony, Carmelo was called over to that tent by someone he thought was his friend. The defense attorney even showed multiple photos of them together. But when everything was said and done, that same person ended up taking the stand and testifying against him, his friend. Now, the part that really stood out to me was that Carmelo's friend allegedly recorded the entire incident, then later backpedaled and claimed he was only pretending to record. How convenient. And then when he asked why he was showing people his phone, he said he was only showing them Carmelo's Instagram page. I'm sorry, but let's be so for real. This is somebody you've been hanging around with, right? Somebody who called you over to sit with him and allegedly started laughing while you were being bullied. This is also somebody who allegedly pulled out a phone while you were being harassed instead of stepping in. Then, when the situation escalates and becomes a matter of literal life and death, the footage is all of a sudden magically gone. And now they're sitting on the witness stand with your life in their hand. Whether you think Carmelo was right or wrong is not the point. The point is that too many people confuse access with loyalty. Just because someone hangs around you doesn't mean they're your friend, bro. Just because someone calls you bro, sis, fam, cuz, or bestie does not mean they're your true friend. Character reveals itself when things get real, and it's important to pay attention to how people operate under pressure because only then will you see their true colors. I guarantee you. Pay attention to the things that might seem small but hold a lot of weight, like who laughs when you're being humiliated and who records instead of stepping in to help. Pay attention to who folds the moment they get tested. Okay. I guarantee you the signs were there already, and Carmelo may have just shrugged the red flags off, thinking it ain't no big deal. But who you choose to surround yourself with is a huge, huge deal. Pay attention to what those around you say, do, and even joke about, because if you pay close attention, you'll start to pick up behavioral patterns and then ask yourself, is this really someone I want to be around, let alone call a friend? Because sometimes the people closest to you can have the biggest impact on how your life turns out. And sometimes your life literally depends on it.
And them kids up there lying on the stand. They lying on the stand. You got 50 witnesses that was under the tent and nobody got the same story. You got one kid saying one thing, another kid saying another thing, 5 other kids saying this, that, the fourth. One kid that knew Melo saying he don't know him. You told the police you knew him. You told all the students you knew him, but then you get on the stand and say you don't know him. I know the jury is confused as hell. Everybody up there lying. And I think they all in cahoots with each other just to go against Melo. That's what it seemed like to me. Because everybody lying. The only thing they share in common is that they said it's Melo's fault or that they don't know whose fault it is. This case is absolutely crazy. It's way too much reasonable doubt. I don't see how he gets a guilty. The only way he gets a guilty is if, you know. Other than that, there's nothing proven in this case. Way too many holes in all of the witnesses' stories. It's just too much. It's too much. They up there lying, man.
So the Karmelo Anthony verdict has come in, and Karmelo's been sentenced to 35 years in prison for the death of Austin Metcalf. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse because I do that on my podcast, which I encourage you to listen to. And I have videos rolling out from today until Friday discussing this case. But what I will say is where you live matters. And choosing to live in these conservative counties like Tarrant County, like Collin County, you see the effects of it when it comes down to times like this. This case was handled swiftly. It did not take long for the juries to deliberate. There were no black jurors present, and they brought back a very harsh sentence for this 19-year-old boy who was 17 at the time that this occurred. And I just think we should think about that, because I know that when we're dream shopping for our homes, we're looking at the best home and the best school and the best of the best and the biggest and all of that stuff. But also look at the representation around you when you pick where your family will live, because if you ever find yourself in the middle of a criminal investigation or a CPS investigation, God forbid, you will be so heavily impacted by that conservative county that you chose to live in. And I'd hate for it to be an afterthought, because that's not a good position to be in. And I definitely feel like we see that in this case today with Karmelo Anthony. Collin County did what I would expect for Collin County to do. Everything about this case is heartbreaking.
Karmelo was dating a bunny. Salsa bunny, I believe. Rice bunny, it's a bunny. I need them to tell their son, you cannot communicate with her as we go through this retrial. Do you know why, Loom?
They'll flip her.
No. Who was the mystery witness that could have exonerated Karmelo and instead turned into Carmelo's Judas? Eddie Parra. Remember him?
Yes.
Who was Eddie Parra? Carmelo's girlfriend's play cousin. Eddie invited Karmelo under the tent. Judas and the Black Messiah. Judas and the Black Messiah. Eddie Parra, mixed race, black, Asian, or black, Latino. Either way, his mom not black, right? He invited Karmelo under the tent. He's play cousin to Karmelo's girlfriend. So I'm telling Karmelo Anthony's mom and dad, tell Karmelo he cannot communicate with his girlfriend because the witness who stood on the side of the twins' loom, he did not stand up for Karmelo on that bench. He stood up for the white twins. He lied under oath and said him and Karmelo were not friends. And then the defense attorney cross-examined him and said, you've been in this house?
Yeah.
Y'all done played sports together. Y'all done went on dates together. Y'all done won. He tried to say he didn't even know this woman.
Right. Yeah. He tried to separate
And this
himself.
is the girlfriend's play cousin. Guess what, Loon? Karmelo needs to understand something. She ain't your girlfriend no more. I'm not saying she did nothing wrong. I'm not saying she did nothing wrong. I'm saying we cannot risk you being legally lynched again because you pillow talking on prison phones with a girl who could be feeding the enemy. I don't know if she guilty or not, Loon, but we not taking no chances. Do you feel me?
Right.
The only person Karmelo Anthony should be talking to in that jail, mom, dad, and lawyer. Mom, dad, and lawyer. We can't trust nobody. You can't get no damn conjugal visits. Because do you want your life or are you worried about loneliness? You see this? Karmelo, you're going to have to be lonely right now, my brother. Because talking to her and she feeding Eddie, Eddie was the Judas in this case. Eddie could have told the truth. But you know why Eddie didn't tell the truth, Lou? Because Eddie know he helped instigate the conflict. Eddie was one of the ones with the twins egging Karmelo on. You ain't got nothing in that bag. They dared him to pull the knife out. And Eddie, Karmelo's fake ass friend, is part of the reason this situation happened. You invited him under the tent, you instigated the fight, and that boy lost his life. And then you got the audacity, after inviting me under the tent, after instigating the crisis that led to this boy's life, you got the audacity to come to court, sit on the stand, and tell the world you don't even know me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This is why, Loon. And you know me, I accept and I embrace our mixed race Africans. But if you have black children, all black children, if you have black freedmen as children, and they got mixed race friends, you better find out what the non-black parent thinks about black people. Because I'm going to tell you what I think. I believe Eddie's Asian or Latino mom sat his ass down and told him, you're going to side with the white boys. Because we ain't going to get nothing out of siding with no ninja.